Now I got it. All right, let's look at our schedule first. That week number 2, we're going to look at unit number 2. We kind of looked at this game engine and introduction to Unity and getting started with Unity stuff. So we'll look at some interfaces and the how to create simple stuff with using Unity. And again, if you go to class recordings, okay, there's in-class lecture demonstration recordings. You can find these recordings from lecture/demonstration each day. Okay, so even now I am recording this. So if you ever miss the class, I don't want you to be absent, but if something happens, you have to know what you missed. You can always visit this channel and watch it. And another thing is, yes, I do create simple tutorials, and if you are stuck, the best way, yes, I want you to try to figure out and be a problem solver to fix your own issue. But sometimes you might need some help. In that case, just email me. And usually what I do again, I can show you really quick. If someone asks me a question with some Unity stuff, okay, I want you to send me everything, basically, everything with the project folder. And what I do usually, okay, where's GAME232 stuff? Okay, so I basically open your file and we'll try to fix it for you. And actually, oh no, never mind. Why I cannot find those example files? Okay, so sometimes, actually, yeah. So here, apparently this one, would be an example of how I help your assignment time to time. I try not to give you the answer right away, but I'll definitely open your file and review and try to guide you how to fix your stuff. Okay? So if you're stuck, if you have any question, email me. And when you email me, try to share your project folder with me so that I can look at your file and fix it. Okay, let's go to unit number 2. So again, we briefly looked at this game engines and Unity. So I'm not going to go all details, but there are some extra video tutorials you can watch to get to know what Unity is and how to start with Unity. Okay, and today we will look at lesson 2-4 and 2-5, and you can start working on your very first assignment, which is 3D spinning object. Okay, let's look at lesson 2-4, Unity 3D interface and basic concept. So if you look at this Unity interfaces, okay, there are some good materials you can go over. Okay, so let's open Unity. So I want you to open Unity Hub and create new project. It could be 3D, 2D, it really doesn't matter, but I'll probably do it with 3D. And then you can name your project whatever you want. And in terms of location, I will put it on the desktop, okay, so that I can easily retrieve my stuff. Yes? Do we have any other computer station? Is there any other computer station? You cannot turn it on or what? Okay. Anyways, select folder and oops, create. Okay, obviously I don't have time to fix your computer now, but I'm going to bring the technical director of our program so that he can take a look at it. I'm going to text him now. Did you turn on the computer? Okay. Yeah, Ethan? Yes. You can actually come here and because he has a laptop. Yeah. Thank you. All right, so in terms of interface, quite honestly, you don't have to memorize their names and stuff because what really matters is you know what they do and you know how to use the software. Okay, so it's not like I'm going to give you a quiz to memorize these names. So as long as you know what they do, okay, that's fine. But it would be better if you know like what they are, especially if you are asked to talk about the software in front of other people. Maybe it's better for you to know use the same vocabulary. So here, if you look at this one, Unity Interface Overview, okay, it's important to make yourself familiar with Unity Interface. And then if you go to this link, okay, oh, there's one broken link. It was okay last time, but okay, so this one, okay, using the Unity interface, okay, it will give you pretty good explanation of Unity interface. Okay, this is 1 hour. Okay, so at your leisure, you can definitely check this out. Okay, and here there's another link on the document, and this is Unity document and manual, and there are names and explanation of what they are regarding Unity interface. Okay, so again, you don't have to know like. Well, actually, let me take that back because if you watch some video tutorials, I mean, people will use these words and vocabulary, so it's better for you to know what they are. But then again, time to time, like it's not that. I mean, it's not that critical to know the exact name. For instance, like this one is hierarchy window. Okay, this one scene view, game view. This is inspector window, and this is asset project window and console and assets. Okay, so eventually, if you just keep using it, I mean, you will know. Okay, so don't be stressed, even though you don't know what they are at this point. But try to make yourself familiar with the interface, and eventually, even in this class, I'll basically keep saying, oh, hierarchy window, and game view, scene view, inspector window. So you will eventually know what they are. And again, I mean, I'm not that, like, I don't, it's like sometimes like people kind of confused by the name, like, is it hierarchy window or hierarchy view or what, right? So, but my point is, it's not really important. I mean, whether it's a window or like a folder or whatever, it really doesn't matter as long as you know what they do. Okay, so at your leisure, you can go through this or this to get to know what they do. But eventually, in this class, I'll just keep talking about this like hierarchy window again and again, so you will know what they are and what they do. Okay. So here, just brief introduction will be, okay, left here, well, you have toolbar here, okay. We're not going to use this toolbar that much, okay. So you will just use this toolbar as default, okay. But here, hierarchy window, this is where you are going to put your stuff. Or this one is the window where it reveals what types of game objects are introduced to your game world. Okay. So here, now I have this main camera and directional light under sample scene. Okay. So here, information I can get is, okay, this one I'm dealing with this sample scene, which is stored inside of this scenes folder. Okay. Inside of this scenes, I do have this main camera and directional light game object. Okay. And whenever you click this game object, okay, you see the changes in inspector window. So inspector window is where you can see all the attributes of that particular or selected game object. So here, you see this main camera, and then under inspector window, it says main camera. Okay, there's transform. Transform is about information about the position of your game object. So it's located at 0, 1, -10 on each axis, and rotation 0, 0, 0, scale 1, 1, 1. Okay. And then if you look at the directional light, same thing. You will always see transform. Okay, this is kind of relative information, okay, where your game object is located or placed in your game world. So this one has 0, 3, 0, 50, -30, 0, and 1, 1, 1. Okay, and then whenever you click this game object, it will reveal other attributes. So this is main camera. So I have this transform. Again, transform is about the position. And I do have this camera. Okay? Then in camera, I can possibly change some attributes. For now, I'm not going to change much thing, but later on, if you are going to deal with 2D games, you probably need to change its projection. Now this is perspective. Maybe later, like you sometimes use orthographic, and then as you can see, it actually made some changes depending on attributes, okay, you are using for that particular game object. Okay. But we'll talk about this again later. Okay. And then there's audio listener. And then there's add component, meaning you can possibly add or delete component to existing game object to modify it. And let's look at the directional light, same thing. Okay. It has transform. Okay. Transform is about where this game object is placed. Okay. And then there's light component, okay, which it will give you some attributes about that particular light. And also it has add component button, meaning you can add some component to this existing game object to modify it. Just one thing we can do really quick is, okay, if you look at select directional light, and then look at these positions, okay. So if you want to make changes in terms of position of your game object, there are many things you can do. You can directly select your game object inside of this scene view, okay, something like this, and move it. And as you move your game object, you can see, okay, these numeric values change it under inspector window. Okay. You can do this. Okay. And in the same way, you can type some numeric value directly, okay, under transform, under inspector. Or you can put your cursor over this attribute. Like, for instance, you can put your cursor over this X, and then what's going to happen is you will see this arrow appeared on the top of this X. Now you can drag. You can click your left button and then move your mouse left and right. Then basically you can manipulate this numeric value little by little. Okay. So now what I can do, I can actually look at the rotation and then kind of do the same thing. I'll put my cursor over this maybe Y on the rotation, okay, and hold down your mouse button and then move your mouse left and right. Then as you can see, I am changing this numeric value, and as I change this numeric value in my scene view, you can see my directional light is modified. So now, you don't see much effect now, but let's try to do this. This is scene view. Okay? This is where game designers and developers put our game object. We construct your game world in scene view. And if you now click on this game view, okay, this is scene view, this is game view. This is slightly different. This is what your player, your user, will view your game. So this one is directly related to your camera. Okay, so if you go back to your scene view, click on this main camera. This is my main camera. Okay. And then as you can see, this main camera has direction and then project or display this one dimensional kind of like the world with the one particular perspective. Okay? So this is your scene view basically. This is basically your game view. Okay? So now what I want you to do, I want you to go to game view and then select directional light and then put your cursor over one of this either position or rotation and hold down your mouse button and manipulate it, like move your mouse left and right. So as you can see, what I'm trying to do now, is I am actually changing the direction of my directional light. Okay? And then while you're changing it, this is basically what's happening in the game world. Okay? Or you can change its position. Okay. Changing position doesn't make that much of effect, but this is something you can do, or you can see some changes when you do change the attributes in rotation. Okay. And now, let's try to look at this one really quick. On right top corner, you will see layout. Okay. This layout, if you open it, this one is default layout. Okay. And you can play with, let's see, 2x3. Okay. So 2x3 will give you your scene view and game view separately, so that you can see your scene and game view at the same time. Okay? Sometimes it's needed because when you test your game, you want to see what's really happening in your scene view so that you can kind of check how your game's displayed in real game. Okay? So here, we can do the same thing. It's slightly different now. There's a hierarchy window. Okay? and then project window here along with the SF folder and inspector. Now what I can do is I can select directional light, okay, and then okay, well, where's my directional? Oh, here. Okay. Okay, and then now I can change. I can make some changes in my attributes in inspector window, and you can actually see, oh, this is the change I make in my scene view. Okay, gets reflected in this game view in real time. Okay. But at the same time, you can still see the physical change you're making in your game, in your scene view. So sometimes it helps a lot for a game designer to see like this whole process of game design and development. Okay, so rule of like if you use kind of big monitor, I recommend you to use 2x3. Okay? If you use like smaller laptop, use default layout. Oops. So in my lecture demonstration, I usually use default layout, but in real production process, I usually use 2x3. And sometimes like 4 split. The 4 split, if you work with 3D games, okay, you can actually display. So here you have like scene, 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 scene. Okay, you can actually see your game in 4 different directions. Okay, so when you work with 3D games, people like to use 4 split layout. Okay, so again, it's not like there's only one way to use your layout. So eventually, you will find the best layout you like to use, okay? and then you stick with it. Okay? But I can tell you that in industry, okay, usually people use either 2x3. If you're a programmer, like if you want to program something, and if you want to apply that right away, if you want to see the change right away, you probably use 2x3. If you're a graphic artist, you probably use 4 split more. But then again, a lot of times these days people work with their laptop, so they sometimes have to make that. They have to compromise by using just default layout. Okay. And project. Okay, project is project window. You will use project window a lot because project window contains this SS folder. Okay, so whatever you have in your game, okay, you will see those things in your SS folder. So you will see this SS folder a lot. And then one more thing, if you click here, console, okay, this is something you will see. So basically, console is where you communicate with your software, like Unity. Okay, so if you have any error, okay, you will actually get that error message through console window. Okay, so at the beginning of this class, well, I encourage you to make many mistakes, okay, because there are kind of certain mistakes that everybody makes, okay, and then it will give you this error message on console window. Okay, if you can identify that error, types of error by looking at the error code, I mean, it will save you a lot of time. Okay, so quite honestly, at the beginning, when you deal with C# coding, you probably see the same error code over and over again. Okay, again, making mistake is actually good at this point because you basically learn, and you will have more opportunities to fix that error. Okay, and then you basically learn that by from your own mistake. And I sometimes say, even you are like a really experienced programmer or game developer, I mean, you make mistake. Okay, and the only difference is they made that same mistake like many times. They can possibly fix it faster. Okay, so again, like if you make mistake, that's good. Okay, and try to find out how to fix it. But if you cannot fix it, you definitely let me know. I'll try to kind of walk you through how to fix or debug that issue. Okay. All right, that's brief introduction of interface. Okay. Again, you can use all this link and video. Okay. And layout, I talked just went over. Okay. And main window, I talked about that. And scene view, game view, did that. And how your game object appears in scene and game view, I kind of show you that too. So this will be your reference. Again, you don't have to like know every single name of things, but it's good to know. Okay, so at your leisure, if you have time, I would recommend you to visit those links. Okay. This is game view. This is scene view, and try to get to know what they are. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. So these are basic information about Unity. Okay. So good to know, but again, like it's more important for you to know what they do, okay? And you will eventually get to know what they do by doing assignment and project. All right. Then that was the interface. Okay. And then now let's try to do this. Okay. So now I'll come back here. Okay. I do have main camera, directional light. Okay. And I have this project and scenes. Okay. And usually, whatever you use in Unity, okay, it will be included in your asset folder. Okay. So my asset folder now has scene and sample scene. Okay. So let's try to think about this. Okay. I have main camera and directional light, but they are not actually included in my assets folder. Can anybody tell me why? Why that happens? Let's say, or maybe this is more obvious. I want you to now go to game object. Okay. Go to top game object and use 3D object and select sphere. Now what just happened is we do have this sphere, okay, at the center of our game world. Okay. And again, this one maybe too small. Okay. So I'm going to change its scale. Maybe 5, 5, and 5. Okay. I just enlarged it. Okay. And then if you use your mouse, you can use your mouse wheel, make it go like a smaller or bigger. Okay. You can use your wheel, make it. All right. So now we can check how this guy appear in my game world by clicking game. So in my game world, it appears like this because my camera is located right over here. Okay. So if I change my position of my camera, for instance, I can move this camera back. Then as you can see, this sphere appears a lot smaller. Okay. Or I can put my camera right in front of this sphere. Okay. Then as you can see, sphere appears bigger. Okay. So sometimes this is important for you to understand. Okay. This is what the scene view, okay, allow us to construct the game, okay, but this is not how your user, okay, will look at your game. Your user will look at your game using this camera's perspective, okay. And then you can go to game, and then now you can do the same thing. Like I can select directional light and then change its rotation, and it's now more obvious. Okay, now I am actually changing the direction of light, so you can see, okay, how it affects my game world. Okay. All right. So my question was this. Okay, I just introduced this sphere to my game world, but there's no change in my SS folder. Okay. Usually my SS folder contains everything I use for that game. Okay. And since nobody really answers, the reason why is all these things is pre-made feature from Unity. So if you use anything from game object here or components here, it's not going to get added to SS folder, but it basically uses the feature in Unity and make those things. But now let's try to do this. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go to Google, okay, and I'll type globe texture. Okay. And you can pick and choose one of this map that you can use as a texture of your globe you just created. Okay. So I'll probably use this one. Okay. So you can choose some other images as well if you like to use. Okay. These are huge. So this one is 9.1 megabyte. Whoa. So now what I'm going to do, okay, I'm going to save this one on my desktop. Okay, so I have this image right on my desktop. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to import, okay, that image into my game world or game project. So I'm going to simply drag this image into the assets folder. Okay. Just drag it like this. Okay. Or you can do you can do manually, like go to Unity, go to Asset, import new asset, and then you can select that particular image or particular file and import. Okay, or you can simply drag it to the assets folder. And now I have this assets images in my assets folder. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to apply this texture to this sphere. Okay? Now a lot of things are automated in Unity, so it's easy. You can simply drag this image onto this sphere. Okay? Quite simple. Okay? And now, what just happened here is, if you look at your material, it created this materials folder, And then as you can see, this material folder has this particular sphere with that texture applied. Okay. So now when you play this, okay, it will show you that game view. Okay. Or even now, you can just simply go to game view to see, okay, this how this texture applied into my sphere. And also here, directional light, I can kind of play with it to see what's going to happen when you change the direction of your light. Okay, okay, now, okay, you know that we introduced this texture. So as you can see, we used this texture in this game. This game has this image in assets. Okay. This one is something I'm going to talk about again later, but now let's actually take a look at this test 11. I named it as test 11, project folder. This is my project folder. Okay. This is how your typical project folder looks like. There's assets folder, library, log, package, project setting, temporary folder. So a lot of times, okay, you don't have to touch, okay, all these folders. They usually create it automatically when you create new project. Okay, so you don't have to touch a thing here. But here, assets folder. Okay, this is sometimes you want to check and see. Okay, so here, this one is kind of carbon copy of what you have right over here. So now, as you can see, I do have this 2 no clause AK JPG file. Okay, and then there's meta information. Okay, meta information basically you can ignore because this one has this meta information because I haven't saved my file yet. Okay, but one thing you can see though, okay, you do have this no clause, this images here, okay? And one thing I want you to understand here is, okay, try to remember what I did. I actually drag this image into SS folder, okay? And I still have this image file on my desktop. And then now I have the same image file inside of my SS folder. So whenever you import files into your Unity project, it copies. It makes a copy of that particular file. Okay? So you will have the copy of that particular file you imported inside of your assets folder. Okay? Another thing I want you to know is, okay, so I'll just save this. Okay, I'll save. Okay. And now I'll go to test 11. Assets, and there's scenes. Okay. So I do have this sample scenes.unity file. So usually, if you want to open this project again, okay, you can go to Unity Hub and then select this one, or you can actually go to scenes folder and double click on this Unity file. Okay. So this Unity file is where that you have all the information about how you constructed your game world. Okay? And now, I want you to look at this Unity file. Okay? And I'm going to look at its properties. Okay? This one is 10 kilobytes. Okay? So this means, okay, this Unity file, okay, doesn't actually contain any other things like images or anything you use it in the Unity, but it actually contains this metadata, okay, how these things. So this is same as this Unity scene file is basically finger pointing, okay, oh, find that particular JPG file and use that as a texture on this sphere. So sometimes the reason why I brought this up is sometimes I have students submit this Unity file only. when I ask them to submit their assignment or project file, okay? Because they're thinking, oh, this is the scene that I created, so I'm going to submit my scene file, okay? But then again, if you just submit scene file, I cannot see anything because I don't have all these assets. So when you have to submit your file, okay, I want you to zip or compress this whole project folder and submit. Okay, I'm going to talk about that later again. Okay. All right. So now that is how you apply your texture. Okay. And now, oops, not this one. Okay, and now we just embedded texture and making globe, relationship between scene and game view. I talked about it, asset folder. Okay, let's look at this script. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to create some automated feature in Unity. Okay, so basically in Unity, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to have same repeated feature in Unity, okay, that I want to create. So basically what I'm going to do, if you look at the sphere, okay, this is my sphere. I do have rotation, X, Y, and Z. Okay. So here, let's try to see, I look at my Y, and I'll try to manipulate this by putting my cursor over Y and hold down mouse and move my mouse left and right. Okay. So now what's happening here is I am basically rotating my sphere. Okay. So rationale, okay, behind this is I'm going to manipulate this number, okay, this number in every single frame, okay, so that people can see this guy is rotating. Okay. So if this is just a presentation, okay, maybe I can do this manually. Okay. Oh, see, my sphere is rotating, yeah, right? But then again, I cannot just do this all the time, right? I cannot just put my cursor over Y and then moving my mouse every single time when I want this guy to rotate. Okay? So that is why we are going to use scripting. Okay? Scripting allow us to create this kind of pattern or some sort of logic to do the thing. Okay? So today we're going to look at the scripting of rotating this thing, but you can do a lot more as long as you have the logic and you can do that with some pattern. Okay? So now, let's try to do this. I want you to click Add Component. Okay? And then scroll down. You can select Script. Oh, actually, you can select New Script. Okay? So Add Component, scroll down, New Script. And then it will ask you the name of your new script. You can choose whatever name you want to use. Okay? And naming convention. Okay, well, this is not that complicated at this point, but naming convention, when you need to name your file, okay, rule number one, you have to know what that is. Okay? So sometimes people create a file, especially scripting like this one, like rotate Y, or rotate obj, like rotate object or something. As long as you can remember, you can get to know what they do by looking at the name, that's fine. And sometimes, okay, naming convention is important in group project or real team project, because when you share your project with other people, okay, so instead of you explaining every single thing to your group member, okay, if it's self-explanatory, it would be easier for them to just look at it. Oh, rotate Y. Yeah, I think I know what that particular script does. Or sometimes people use rotate. So ROTOBJ, like rotate object or something. Okay. So I'll just put like rotate for now. Okay. New script. Okay. Rotate. It's totally up to you how to name your script. As long as you can remember like why you named that thing with the name you just use it. And then I'll click create and add. Okay. So now, as you can see, it now has this rotate script. Okay. Then now, I want you to double click on this rotate. And then what's going to happen is it will open this Visual Studio. Okay. Oh, and actually, to use Visual Studio, you have to log in. Okay. So now Visual Studio is free, but you have to log in. So basically, you have to have a valid email address. Okay. Or I think you can now use like Facebook or Google account as well. But anyways, you have to log in, and this is something you will see. Okay. So how many of you guys use it, Unity, especially scripting before? Raise your hand. So I have 1, 2, only 3, 4, 5-ish. Okay. So here, okay, the best way to learn programming is play with it, I would say. Okay. And then sometimes, okay, we have to be bold. Okay. A lot of times what's going to happen is you will copy and paste and play with some variable, meaning play with some numbers you can play with. I mean, play with numbers that you can change, okay, to see what it does. So a lot of times there's going to be this trial and errors. Okay? You test it, it doesn't work, then you go back and try to make it work and test it until you actually get the effect you like to have. In that process, you understand how to use the code. Okay. So at this point, what we're going to do, yes, because not everyone here is a programmer, okay, we're going to use this copy and paste method. Okay. But eventually, I want you to look at, and then like later on, I'm going to explain like why we're doing this and then what those line means. Okay. But today we're going to use like copy and paste, okay, and try to implement that thing for our project. Okay. So now I can go back here, okay, and I want you to go to this page by clicking this link, transform rotate. Okay. So here, if you look at this one, okay, script, a piece of code that allows you to create your own components, trigger game events, modify component properties over time, and respond to user input in any way you like, and transform rotate. So basically, learning programming language is same as learning like a real language. Okay? So let's say I'm not good at Spanish, but I happen to visited many Spanish-speaking country before. Okay? So I kind of got to know how to get by. Okay? So okay, hola is hi. So sometimes I really don't know the whole thing, but I try to understand how to use certain phrase. Okay? So in computer programming, at least at the beginner's stage, it's okay for you to understand as a chunk. In this situation, you will copy this thing and paste it and use it. Okay? And good thing about C# in Unity, I would say C# is higher level programming language. Anyone knows what that means? Higher level programming language? Anybody? Yes.
It's not as lenient on some errors on
Okay.
syntaxes.
That maybe, but that's not the answer I am looking for. Yes.
Is it based off a prior language?
Not really. Not really. Okay. So higher level programming language. Yes.
It's more abstracted from assembly.
Yes and no. Well, I mean, we're getting there, but basically, okay, assembly is a lower level programming language. That doesn't mean its performance is any less than other languages. Okay, lower level or higher level programming language. When we say lower and higher, okay, it means basically we are comparing it to the human language. Okay, higher means in terms of linguistics. Okay. Is higher level so that closer to human language. So in terms of look the code, whenever you look at assembly code, without like a compiler, you cannot do anything basically. Even without, you cannot understand, okay, by looking at assembly code what that code trying to do. But higher level language such as C#, you can actually read it and you can understand what that thing does. So today, I am introducing this transform.rotate. Okay? So here, again, even though you don't have any background in programming language, we can understand, oh, transform. This is something I just talked about, right, in Unity. In Unity, we have this transform. Okay? So maybe transform.rotate is about this transform in Unity. And actually it's like transform.rotate. So this is basically will manipulate something in transform and rotate. Okay? So now, let's go here, transform.rotate. What I usually recommend is you can actually scroll down, and this one has this thing, okay? Some sample code, okay? So a lot of times, what we're going to do, okay, we are going to copy and paste, okay? And at the same time, okay, if you don't understand like what they do, okay, I mean, you can, again, still kind of Google this. Okay, so I'm going to use like Unity transform.rotate. Okay, then you'll get this one, like same thing. Translate, rotate. You will get tons of information. Okay, tons of information on how to use the code. Okay, so there's a sample rotation script. Okay, free, whatever that means. So you will get tons of information, okay? But time to time, there's a version conflict, so you have to be careful which one you use. But bottom line is, you'll be able to find code. So a lot of times in like game design and development courses, okay, this is what's going to happen. You want to create special feature for your game that you don't know how to do, okay? Then you'll try to Google, okay? And depending on your Google skill, you will get maybe 5 or 10 even more code out there, okay? But we don't know which one actually is working because some of this code actually from like Unity 5 or like 5 years ago, okay? So your job is to find the code and implement that, like put that code in your project and test it. If it's not working, you are going to move to the next one and copy and paste and see whether it works. That's kind of like some beginner programmer's job. Okay? If you get a little better, you actually look at the code and try to understand and then try to customize that code for your own game. Okay? Anyways, okay? the bottom line is you'll find all these informations. Okay. So now, for now, let's try to kind of see this one. What I'm going to do, okay, there's many things I can do. I will actually look at this one. Okay. So I'm going to later this one is actually position. Okay. So actually, let's try to do this. Okay. What I'm going to do, I have transform position u vector 3. Okay. And then kind of play with what this is. Okay. So I have transform dot position equal new vector 3 and 3 numbers. Okay. I don't know what they are, but let's try to see this whether it works or not. I'll put like 5.0, 5.0, and 5.0. Okay. And I'll save this. Okay. We're not using transform rotate yet. I'm using transform position, not position. Okay. So now, if you are smart enough, you would think, oh, I am actually assigning new position for my game object using 5, 5, 5. Okay. Let's see whether it's going to work. Okay. So here I'm going to save this, and then going back to Unity. Okay. So now when I look at my sphere, its position is 0, 0, 0. Okay. So this is how you will see. But whenever you play this now as you can see, it jumped and changed its position. Okay. So this is 0, 0, 0. When you play this, okay, it's 5, 5, 5. Okay, so now I want you to kind of understand, oh, I'm not sure what really happened, but here, this is something I can use if I need to relocate, reposition my game object. Okay. What just happened here is transform dot position allow me, okay, to manipulate, okay, this transform dot position with this particular number. Okay? So now, I want you to do this. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put 2 slashes. Okay? And what just happened here is, this one is now in like a transform dot position in black color, and this is kind of a green and some orange color. But whenever I put 2 slashes, it becomes gray. Okay. In programming, okay, we say this as commenting out. Okay. Now, whenever you see this double slash, okay, the software understands that as a comment, so it doesn't execute that particular code. So now, I put 2 slashes. Now this one is considered as comment. So now if I save this, okay, and go back and play again, it doesn't do anything. Okay. So time to time, we are going to do this again, do this a lot to test certain code for our project. Okay. Now, let me go back to that page. No, I don't want to use transform.position. I want to use transform.rotate. Okay. Let's see this. I'm going to copy this. Okay. I'm going to copy this line. Okay. And I'm going to paste this. Okay. So now, transform.rotate. Okay. And then I have this x angle, y angle, z angle, space.self. Okay. but I don't know what they are. I don't know what they do, but I think it's not happy, okay? Because I see this the red line, okay, under x angle, y angle, z angle, okay. So this is something we are going to learn later, okay. So now your job is kind of to figure out why I get that like red line underneath my thing, okay. Because if you took actually game 140 or game 399 like coding for designer, you probably know what's happening here. But basically, this is a place for variable, okay. But these variable are like were not declared at the beginning of the program, so that's why it's complaining. But anyways, so now let's try to fix this, okay. So let's actually try to make it simple, okay. So basically this one, transform.rotate, okay, and then we know that transform.rotate must be related to this thing, transform rotation. There's x, y, and z, okay. So the idea is we can put some number here, okay. So I can put 0, 0, and 0, okay. So now at least I don't have that like red line underneath, okay. So I think I'm okay. So I'm going to save this, okay, and go back to Unity. So now try to look at this, okay. Right now, okay, my rotation is 0, negative 400, actually negative 4,475 and 0. Okay. This is what I see. Okay. I'm going to play this. Okay. It actually doesn't do anything, right? Oh, I hope like something happens, but it doesn't do anything. Okay. So now let's try to look at this one. Okay. Okay. Transform rotate. I'm going to try to do this. Maybe transform.rotate 0, 0 instead of that 10.0 f. Okay. Save. Okay. And now go back. Okay, and play. Oh, what is happening? What is happening? But I'm done. I'm done for my this week's assignment. Right? So now, this is kind of, again, like the reason why I'm doing this is, okay, programming is a lot of times at the beginning, it will be trial and errors. Okay? So now, we have to kind of understand what just happened. Okay? Transform.rotate, what this guy does. So now we know, okay, this 10.0, okay, seems like adding 10 on the y-axis, okay, on the y-axis. So to prove my hypothesis, I can change this number to 1. Then my guess is it will rotate slowly, right, compared to 10. So I'm going to save this and play. Okay, please work. Yes. So now it's rotating slower. Okay. So this is what happens when I use 1. Okay. In the same way, maybe I can use x-axis. So 1.0f. And now as you can see, now it rotates on the x-axis. So now we know that this transform.rotate actually is adding this value to existing attribute so that it will create that illusion of rotating on game object. Okay. So in general, if you want to rotate it like a globe, I would like to use y-axis. Okay. Okay. Something like this. And then if I want to make this one a little more dramatic, okay, go to scene, and main camera, I'm going to lower this. Okay. And then maybe my directional light, I'm going to put it, okay. Directional light. Okay, I will actually want to see it like 2x3. So now I can actually see a little better. So I'll put my light right over here. Okay, so now when I play this, I have something like this, as if sun is right over here. Okay. Actually, there's many other things we can do with this transform.rotate, but again, I want you to remember the process. Sometimes, yes, there will be lots of trial and errors. You copy and paste, somehow it doesn't work, and you make it work, and then now you try to understand what that code really does. Okay. So going back to 2-4. Okay. And the other things, we only have 4 more minutes. So you can go through other stuff like a rigid body and adding background music and adding audio source. And okay, console window, I'm going to talk about that later. Okay. So you can definitely take a look at that. And if you just need kind of continuous tutorial for the assignment, you can go to lesson 2-4, spinning glove. I actually created all these things. Like what you can do. Okay. All right, so again, we're actually going to look at this again on Thursday. Okay, so even if you don't fully understand, that's fine. I'm going to look at this lesson 2-5 on Thursday to make sure you know how to do this assignment. But again, at your leisure, you can definitely take a look at lesson 2-4 and lesson 2-5. Okay, and assignment. Okay, 3D spinning object. Okay. This is due Sunday midnight. Okay. So you can totally start working on it now, or at least plan your assignment. And I want you to create a spinning object using Unity. And how I grade is basically, okay, a lot of times I actually provide all the templates and like code. Okay, so if you create something that fulfills the assignment description, you usually get 90%. Okay, and then for that extra 10%, I'm usually looking for some unique aspect, meaning okay, we just learned how to rotate one thing. Like, I want you to go a little more. Maybe you can have like 2 things or 3 things. And then in this class, maybe I'm not going to go over how to add audio at this point. But actually, if you look at that one of the video tutorial in 2-4, I actually talked about how to add background music. So if you just create this like spinning glove, and then it works, then probably you will get like 90%. But if you add background or background music or another object that's spinning, then probably you will get better grade. And yes.
I was going to ask, so we won't get penalized as long as we meet the necessities, we'll get the grade, but we won't get
Yes.
penalized for
Yes.
adding extra
Yes.
things like making
Yes.
it down.
So again, like here, what I really cared is you get to know how to use the software. So, and then if you basically do everything I say, yes, you will get an A like 90%. But obviously, if you want to excel, you can just throw in a little more stuff. And in fact, it's already 11:44, but on Thursday, I'm going to show you the previous project that I have that I gave like the 5 for this particular assignment. Okay, so you will have better idea of what you can do to get like a better grade. Okay. All right, that's it for today, and I will see you guys on Thursday. So Liam Patchen, Liam.